I'd like to go over how we deal with new patients in EZNotes. We have a button that's called New Patient Consultation. The form that we've chosen to go through to gather the information is called the Patient Intake Form. You can see it on the screen here. This is an ACN form, so it's considered basically a gold standard and has 27 questions. We have it in English and we have it in Spanish. I like to have patients fill this out before coming to see me. I can send them a link or you can have them go to your website and you can put it there. So when they come in, they're all ready to go, and if you're on time, you just sit down and go over the information with them. A staff person can do it, the doctor can do it, or if you want, the patient themselves can do it. We have a feature in the new patient component that's called Portal for New Patients, where if they didn't have a chance to fill out the form in advance, they can sit down and enter the information. I always like doing it myself, and I just want to show you how quickly it goes. So if the person is already in the system, I can click the box that says for patients you've already created, and I think we should do Harvey Lillard, so I put in Lillard and grab Harvey. Now, the first question on the form that we looked at a moment ago was, is the reason you're presenting today from a car accident? And if it is, and we click the first button, it's going to ask 44 questions in addition to the 27 questions that are part of the patient intake form. If the person says, no, I got hurt on the job, then it's going to ask 18 questions in addition to those 27. But to make it easier, I'm just going to pick the one that says this is a major med or cash case. This would also be Medicare, this would also be barter, but essentially it's the basic questions because there's no litigation involved in that kind of stuff. So I just pick major med. Now, let's say Harvey comes in, and on the pain drawing, he circled what looks like the right sacroiliac joint to me. He's calling it his low back, so I click on low back. I ask him to take his index finger and touch the spot, and he's picking the right SI, so I go with right SI. Now, I'm going to go over all the information that he has on here to make sure that I understand what's going on. And he told me that the pain was constant. He said it's mostly dull and achy, but sometimes when he moves, it becomes sharp. It even goes shooting down his right leg to about the knee. So I'm still thinking SI. He says it's getting worse since it happened, and that if he gave it a 0 to 10 rating, he'd give it an 8. He told me it interferes moderately at work and outside of work, extremely uncomfortable. He says that he hasn't seen anybody. If he had, I would find out what they thought was going on. And let's say he said it started over the weekend on Sunday and today is Thursday, so it would be about 4 days. And I just click 4 and days. Now, if he says, I think this happened when I was lifting a very heavy box, and I don't see an option like that, all the EZNotes screens have a word other, which generates what's called a text box, and I can write anything he said. So I can say his problem is from, that's called a sentence stem. I'll say lifting a heavy box. Pop that in there. Now, EZNotes being very clever, will say, why don't we save that and use it as the mechanism of injury when you're actually doing your SOAP note? And I go, fine, because I don't type that well and I won't have to do it again. Is this severe? I think it is. What seems to aggravate it? Well, bending is not great, sitting is not great, getting out of a chair is not great. He might say, while I'm at work, it's definitely not great. I'm going to put whatever he says in there. Then I want to know if he's found anything that makes it feel better. He says, ice seems to help, lying on my back with my knees bent, and I took some non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. It felt better. What concerns you? He says, it's affecting my ability to do my job, and I don't want to get fired. Whatever concerns him is the reason he's in my office. Now, if he has a second problem, and sometimes people do, I could add it here, but I found it's much easier for me to add it in the actual SOAP note. So I'm just going to stay with the one problem. Let's say that the man is 5'9", and he weighs 175 pounds, and whatever his birthday is, I can skip that for now. Now, he's going to have an occupation, let's say, of laborer. His health was great. He does strenuous exercise. Nobody in the family has any of these diseases, so I can skip that. and then I want to see if there's any other conditions that I should be aware of. This might indicate things where I shouldn't work on him today, but let's say he just says, I do get headaches in addition to this back pain. I've been really tired. I've been dizzy for a couple of months, and I was told that my blood pressure's high. I'm looking to see if there's a constellation of problems, like we used to have writer's syndrome in school, can't see, can't pee, can't dance with me. I don't see that here, so I just move on. Then I say, you taking any medication? He says, I am. For my blood pressure, I have something called lisinopril. What's nice about EZNotes is when I select the drug, it'll give me any potential side effects, such as, in this case, headaches, dizziness, fatigue, and I might think that the condition that he mentioned before is coming from the drugs, and I could have him refer back to his medical doctor about that. I want to know if he's taking any vitamins. Let's say he says, I'm taking a multi. I pop in a multi. Maybe I'll upsell him on better products later. I want to know if he's had any surgical procedures. He says, I had my tonsils out when I was a kid. I can put that in there as well. I'm looking for scar tissue that doesn't really meet the criteria. I want to know what he does at work. Let's say he says, I sit very little. I stand most of the day. I don't do any computer work. I do a little bit of phoning, a lot of manual labor. Anything else, I want to know what's going on so I know what he's doing with his body. If he says he lifts weights outside of work, I might have him stop that for a while. If he has no problem swimming or walking, we can do that. I just want to make sure he doesn't irritate the problem we're working on. I say, you had any hospitalizations? And he says, no. Ever seen a chiropractor? Now, this is an interesting case. Sometimes, and you've probably seen this, the guy changes when you ask this question and maybe doesn't look at your eyes anymore. He's looking down. So the sense that I'm getting is he didn't have a positive experience with the last chiropractor. So he says yes. I say, when was the last time? He goes, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. Again, not a good sign. So then I ask, what kind of experience did you have? What kind of results did you get? He goes, I didn't like the guy. So I would say, why didn't you like the guy? Let's say he tells me, I didn't like the person because he told me to come in 3 times a week for the next 15 years or something. I said, well, we don't do that here. So I could go in and create a reminder, and a simple reminder, like don't overschedule him. If he didn't like having his neck adjusted, don't adjust his neck or use an activator, whatever I want to pop in there. Any past trauma? And he says, not really. Anything you think I should know? And he says, no, I think that was very thorough. Then if I had him do the functional outcome of questionnaires, let's say he did the neck disability one and he got a 20, I'll put that in. Let's say he did the low back one and he got an 86, I'll put that in. So generally, I can go through this in about 4 minutes, get all the information. I know what's going on, but more importantly, he knows that I know what's going on. And that's why I love doing the new patient consultation. Thank you.